Travis Wayne Goodsell. So the talk with my brand new property manager is not going to happen anytime soon, it looks like. So we'll do a video here. And so as when I first started building up a following on YouTube way back in the day on Travis Wayne Goodsell, had so many Mormons coming on and attacking in various forms and fashions, as I'm trying to tell them the Book of Mormon is true, Joseph Smith is true, and yet Mormons apparently don't know how to debate Mormonism. So here we are, we're going to teach you how to debate Mormonism. I served my 19-year-old mission to New York, and it was President Barton first for 3 months, and then he kept giving me, he put me in with Elder Gale in Massapequa Park, and I sent him home that first month. And then the next one was Miyazaki. I sent him home. The third one, I can't remember his name anymore, sent him home. And then my mission president, Barton, sent him home. So, and then we had Creel Coford. On our missions, we are supposed to be inspired as to how to start up a communication with people we come across, whether it's knocking on doors or meeting people on the streets or following up on referrals. If it were a referral, it would be easier because we know the subject to talk about. You know, if it was one of the church commercials that they were doing, or getting a free Book of Mormon, which is a trap. They don't mail it to you, they have missionaries give it to you so that they can track you for the rest of your life. And it can vary. You know, if you find out somebody has lost a loved one recently, you say, hey, you can be with them together forever. And not quite appropriate, as Mormons do not seem to understand that death for other people is not something where they want to be told about something that even we don't know, giving them a false hope for the afterlife. And if you're immediately jumping on me going, oh, the church is, there's an afterlife. Yeah, prove it. So sit down and shut up. You can't prove it. So why are you going around believing it? Why are you telling others that it exists? Just because other people say it does not make it automatically true. Each and every single Mormon are supposed to do their own study and research to find the truth for themselves. They're not supposed to just read things like the Book of Mormon and then just automatically believe it. Because many missionaries for the Book of Mormon, or the Golden Question, have you ever read the Book of Mormon? There's been a horrible process in which we have people read, ponder, and pray over the Book of Mormon, and that they're supposed to get a feeling that it's true. And if they don't get that feeling that it is true, like a teenage girl told Mark Augustine and myself, after we visited the family, we saw her on the streets. She was with her clique, her girlfriends, and Mark, I warned him, she's with her friends, I don't think we should. And off he went to go talk to her, and asked her, hey, so did you read the Book of Mormon? And she said, yeah. So did you pray about it to find out if it was true? Yeah. And? Well, I was told it wasn't true. And then her girlfriends all laugh. And Mark is shocked and didn't know how to respond to that, and so just said, oh yeah, we'll meet with your mom on our scheduled appointment, and away we went. And for Mormons, and even Mark, it's, oh, she wasn't sincere. That's the argument that Mormons make, is that, oh, you didn't do it with real intent, having faith in Christ. You weren't taking it seriously. And all Mormons miss what's in Moroni, because there's this thing called a manifestation that's supposed to be physical, not spiritual. And all Mormons miss that. And as a result, Mormons, with their spiritual witness, when they come across somebody who has questions that Mormon spiritual witnesses can't answer, Mormons dismiss their questions and say, well, you just need to have faith, keep studying until you get the right answer. And that's a cult tactic. If our church were just in that realm, but when our church has dead talking to the living and rocking a hat, you're now starting to enter into what's called a cult. And ex-Mormons don't seem to understand the difference, as they keep doing videos about how the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints is a cult, like Scientology. No, once you start introducing witchcraft and speaking with the dead, and you're entering into a cult. And the church had been successful, being the fastest growing religion for a number of years, until the internet with social media took off. And all of a sudden, Mormonism started tanking. Mass exodus from the church. And as I've explained to you guys, Mormons who have been taught by the church to get a spiritual witness about the truth, and then be a truth denier and a science denier, because you've got a spiritual witness that is the real one true truth. Try saying that 3 times fast. And so you, as a Mormon, you think that, oh wow, this must be the latter days, because Mormons are falling into apostasy. They're not studying their scriptures. They're not having faith. Not attending church. Not attending the temple. Those are all idol worship stuff based on superstitious beliefs. But Mormons don't learn this. And so they have to attack other Mormons and other people in the world, even on the missions. Oh, well, we told them the truth, now they're responsible and they're going to burn in hell. They were given their opportunity and they refused it. And Mormons become mean. And I'm getting exposed to new mean Mormons because I'm having to rebuild my base because of those who have died from coronavirus. And YouTube allowing my videos to be shown when people search for them. And so yes, the church news, when it's big, is what helps me get extra views. But there's some other problems that I've been telling you about with the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints wanting me dead. Because when you talk about the real truth, the physical reality, through science-based research, the church prophets tend to get upset. As with September 6th, it was a little different. You see, the September 6th, they were finding things from the historical documents, and it didn't mesh with the narrative that the church had been telling us. And as good, faithful Mormons, they tried to merge the two realms together to harmonize them. Like trying to harmonize the Gospels. You can't do it. And as a result, the church was still upset with them and punished them. And the majority of them, Paul was the only one who wasn't surprised. He became upset as I did that video for him. But others, especially Avraham Gileadi, was shocked. What are you doing? I don't understand what's going on. There must be some mistake. How is talking about a human coming from the line of David apostasy? I don't understand. I have Jesus still I'm merging the two together. He didn't understand, so he's back in the church. And D. Michael Quinn, he had the belief that they just excommunicated him because he was gay. And so then he went on to do the Mormon Hierarchy trilogy series books. Excellent stuff, but his initial thing that caught the church's attention, which caused them to excommunicate him, was Mormonism and the Magic Worldview, in which he's the one responsible for ex-Mormons believing in the magic of witchcraft with a rock and a hat and the holiness to the Lord parchment, as he again made the mistake of trying to merge the narrative of the church with what he was finding out about. And the rock and the hat came from Martin Harris talking about Joseph Smith and his rock and a hat. And as I've gone over with you, too many ex-Mormons make the mistake of believing that Joseph Smith wrote the Book of Mormon. And I keep trying to get it across to you linguistic scientists have confirmed, science confirmed, Sidney Rigdon's the major author, not Joseph Smith. So when you read from Martin Harris's journal or statements, wherever it came from, that Joseph Smith had a rock in a hat, and you confirm it by finding that Joseph Smith was arrested on the 20th of March, 1826, which was supposed to be before he actually got his Urim and Thummim to work on the translation of the Book of Mormon. I'm kind of disappointed with ex-Mormons that instead of trying to find out the truth, they just spread what they think exposes the church as a fraud. But again, ex-Mormons are doing it the same way that they did as Mormons. They read the critical stuff about the church, they pondered it in their hearts, and came up with the solution that the church is false and a fraud, and leave. Whether it's polygamy, the inability to translate, or a rock in a hat, or other stuff, they leave. They don't want to know the truth. They've heard enough. They're out. And so I see a whole bunch of ex-Mormons who continually blame Joseph Smith out of that hasty conclusion. And so, as I'm the one who actually did do research to find out the truth of all these questions that the church continues to refuse to answer, it is frustrating when talking with ex-Mormons. And yeah, I guess they treat me like Mormons treat me, in the sense that they've got their spiritual witness that the church is false, and I'm therefore wrong. And I keep hoping to generate interest from ex-Mormons, because the real story is pretty cool movie material stuff. I mean, series movie material stuff. Not your work in the glory crap. No, we're talking murder mystery. We're talking sex and violence. That kind of awesome movie series stuff. An attempted overthrow of America that almost happened. I mean, it blows away National Treasure and Da Vinci Code. And so, I just, it's been a long, frustrating time to get the message out, as I continue to be attacked even to this day, as one commenter is the terrorist back again, sending me a death threat with a purposely created channel name to make his attack and send his death threat to me. And then let's see, I already filed it here. Uh-oh. Seriously? 3-3-926, but I only see one. That's could be it. If it's not, then no. Yeah, it's not. Okay, well, I'd try it. But Roger Hill made a comment, and he had a picture with him and his wife of he looks like in his 70s, and so he's of my parents' generation, and he made a comment just belittling me and my character rather than the content of my video. And that's the big complaint against Mormon apologists, is that instead of debating the issue that is supposed to be debated, apologists attack the character of a person. Just go to town. You lie. You're evil. You're Korahor. You know, that's called ad hominem, when you attack the character, which has nothing to do with the discussion at hand. You know, who wrote the Book of Mormon? You know, if you say Sidney Rigdon wrote the Book of Mormon, the proper response is not, well, you're Korahor, you just haven't had a spiritual witness. You know, you're supposed to actually go through the science and have a logical debate and discussion. And Mormons can't do that, because if they do that, they'll become like me. Heaven forbid. Heaven forbid ex-Mormons actually learn the truth and find out Joseph Smith was an okay guy. But yes, the church is still not true. And so, when you come at, just, so when we start with the Book of Mormon, you know, I, Nephi, do you just accept it, that Nephi is the name of the author, and therefore there's no need to question it, no need to do any research, don't need to find out if there are contemporary books that contain the name Nephi? We just have to trust blindly, dogmatically? Do you know that's from Maccabees? It's an incorrect translation. It's not actually Nephi if it were to be translated correctly. But Joseph Smith's 1769 version, yeah, they would have known Nephi. They had the Apocrypha. Why don't we have the Apocrypha? Joseph Smith says there's nothing wrong with it. It doesn't need to be retranslated like the Joseph Smith translation. Why don't we have it? Why isn't it not in our Bible? Spencer W. Kimball, you have any answers for that? Benson, followed up by the First Presidency Statement, says, well, we use the King James Version because that was the version that Joseph Smith had. Well, where's the Apocrypha? My favorite story comes from the Apocrypha. It's the story of Bel, added to the Book of Daniel. No, not Bel and the Dragon. They always mix them together. They're two separate stories. But nonetheless, you know, my parents, you know, they had the church library. They had all the books, even the original Mormon doctrine of Bruce R. McConkie. And that's where I learned about the Apocrypha, is learning from seminary about the Apocrypha from that section. And I find my dad has a Catholic Bible, so I went looking for it. You know, the footnotes talk about the Apocrypha and list the names of the books, and So yeah, as a kid, I'm wanting to find out these answers. I'm not just going by, well, it wasn't essential to my eternal salvation to have it in my scriptures, and so the church doesn't want me to know about it, so I'm okay with that. I wasn't raised that way. My parents had the information. I'm going to find the answer. When I see facsimiles in the book of Abraham, I want to know how they're to be translated, because they're not translated. How are they translated, Mom? Oh, well, that's higher spiritual learning when you're an adult and you've been through the temple. Unacceptable. And so you keep on going, and you see I make a record in the language of my father, which consists of the learning of the Jews. What is the learning of the Jews? I thought we were Christian. We go on our mission saying Jesus came to Joseph Smith. Jesus isn't in there. I don't see the name Jesus. But it's in the Book of Mormon, it's in the Doctrine and Covenants, so I guess it's Jesus. Joseph was wrong. He was wrong about Nephi, it's Moroni, and he's wrong about gold plates, it's golden. Joseph makes a lot of errors. But we can't criticize him because he's the prophet of God. And we don't search for the truth. Why is it gold plates? Why is it Nephi? Why is it not named Jesus? And so, learning of the Jews. Do Mormons understand what the learning of the Jews is, especially concerning a Christ? And then the language of the Egyptians. You would think that Mormons would be all over becoming Egyptian. Learning Egyptian language, learning the culture, learning the anthropology and the archaeology of the Egyptians. That the Mormons would have been the first in the world to develop a sign list, to get translation going, having used Ra from Coptic before Jean Champollion, although he was first, because that was 1822, but, technical details. But the sign lists, those didn't come out until the late 1800s. Church could have been all over that, sending missionaries to Egypt to record the records and bring them back to getting to work on adding them to our scriptures. Nope. None of that. And as a result, what Egyptologists have learned to this point is sufficient for them to say, yeah, Joseph Smith is wrong. And I keep trying to tell people, I deciphered Paleo-Hebrew. That led me to decipher the sign list not put in the sign list. The characters. Facsimile number 1. There's a bunch of characters missing from the sign list. It's supposed to be translated. It's not just a pretty picture that has an explanation. Oh, that's Osiris. He's being prepared for the afterlife. And that's Anubis. His head's supposed to be the jackal head. And that's what they call it, but it's an unknown animal. And then, the bawbird, they don't know that it's supposed to be translated. And so, from my having done the work, done the research, I produce the fruits. Whereas Mormons deny the science. Egyptologists, they need to keep working on it until they eventually prove that my spiritual witness is true. Science keeps changing, but they never talk about the learning of the Jews. It's not even in the manuals. They go right to talking about Egyptian, skip over learning of the Jews. I did that video a long time ago. And so then you get to the Bible stuff. First year of the reign of Zedekiah, king of Judah. And then you have Lehi. Well, he's in the Bible, so we can find him easy enough. It means jawbone. And then Jerusalem. Oh, that's in the Bible. We know that one. So you see the dilemma I'm in, where I realize that Mormons are wrong, that we're in the great and abominable church, but they refuse to believe, and they keep getting suckered by the prophets. They keep getting hurt by the prophets. And ex-Mormons likewise won't believe. They've already made up their mind, they're gone, and they're just going to make fun and criticize Mormons. And repeat the same narratives that go around the internet, which are inaccurate because they're trying to merge the two realms together. And so here I am in the middle. Stuck in the middle with you. That was 2.5 Men. They referenced that song. So, yeah, I just... And here I am, having to redo my viewer subscribers and going through the same abusive comments of Mormons who remain in ignorance and who respond with hate and anger and violence, whereas ex-Mormons just cancel culture me. And here we are in the latter days with the war we've all been waiting for. And the church has succeeded in censoring and silencing my voice to you guys, and succeeded in blinding all of you to the reality that they have caused to happen. And so I literally am watching in horror and frustration as everybody is suffering and dying. And they want me dead when I'm trying to save your lives.